What are we to make of the results of the recent, just concluded elections to the assemblies of Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir? Welcome, Swagatham, Vanakkam. Let me be very blunt and straightforward. I consider the election outcomes as a personal defeat of Rahul Gandhi. And let me explain to you why. My viewers would remember that a couple of months ago, I shared with all of you a video in which I expressed my strong disapproval of Rahul Gandhi making his overseas visits at this very crucial juncture. This was the time he could most ill afford to be away from the country. This was a time when he should have engaged with the election processes, not merely the road shows and speeches, but even more crucially and decisively, the behind the scene dynamics. Unfortunately, that crucial responsibility was bypassed. This has several implications. First of all, let's consider Haryana. Perhaps the Congress party became complacent, or to put it more correctly, the Congress party became truly itself, because there was so much of media hype was created, perhaps deliberately created, that Haryana would be a landslide victory for the Congress. Straight away, the old Congress color came out. Sheer incapacity to think and act together, keeping one's eyes fixed on the larger goal, the long-term destinations. And the only consideration for the most unimaginative, retrograde, hardened, selfishly hardened, entrenched political leadership in Haryana, of the Congress party, I mean, the Huda in particular, the Hudas, the family as a whole. That took over completely. Like in Kerala, like in every other state as far as the Congress party is concerned, this party is accursed by its internal group competitions, schisms, petty jealousies, rivalries. There is hardly a state in which congressmen are committed to the party. And this is where I feel that the central leadership is failing. No political party can have any inner cohesion, sustainable dynamism, and relevant future if it does not overcome factional politics at the state level. And I would have expected Rahul Gandhi, given the meteoric increase in his stature, particularly in the wake of his Bharat Jodo Yatra and Nyaya Yatra, these two yatras, which spoke very powerfully to the imagination and hopes and aspirations of the Indian public. I would have expected that Rahul Gandhi would use the ethical, political capital he gained from this very massive and demanding exercise to quell these internal enemies, to heal the party of its accumulated metastasis as a cancer that grows within the Congress party. But unfortunately, he didn't do it, either because he thought it was inopportune to touch this very ticklish issue now, or because he did not really understand the gravity of this issue. Either way, I consider this to be a colossal failure on his part. And I want to state it with all the emphasis I can command, that unless and until Rahul Gandhi, who is the only person who can do this, unless and until Rahul Gandhi takes the bull by its horns and flushes out the real infiltrators, the Gusbaitia within the Congress party, who have no business to be there, who have nothing to contribute, who live in some kind of a notional world of their own, filled entirely with selfishness, short-sightedness, and utter incapacity to get along with anybody else, even within with one's own colleagues in the party, leave alone with other parties. I think this was the foremost issue in Haryana elections this time. Rahul Gandhi abandoned the whole show into the hands of the regional satrap Huda, and the Haryana politics is dominated by two groups, one group led by Shelja and Sujrewala, and the other by Huda. And from their perspective, India alliance is of no significance as far as Haryana is concerned. And they see in the Aam Aadmi Party a likely competitor, particularly because of the Delhi example, where Aam Aadmi Party is supposed to have grown at the expense of the Congress, which is true. So congressmen who only are interested in survival, for whatever reasons all of us know, they cannot stand the prospect of being party to anything which might offer the slightest opening to Aam Aadmi Party. So what Rahul Gandhi did, the mistake he committed was that just before he took off for the United States, he entrusted this duty to work out an electoral alliance between the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party to two people. Venugopal from the Congress side, the trusted lieutenant of Rahul Gandhi, and Raghav Chadha of the Aam Aadmi Party. And what happened through their long parleys, everybody knows. I don't have to waste your time on that. Now, one might argue that the Aam Aadmi Party is not a very strong presence in Haryana. Certainly it is not. In this round of elections, the Aam Aadmi Party polled only 2% of the total votes. But the point is that in a close finish like what we witnessed in this case, 2% votes make a big difference. Maybe that would have made the difference between victory and defeat for the India alliance. But as it used to be said about the Indian cricket team, that they are experts in snatching victory from the jaws, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, experts in snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. The same thing is true about Congress Party as well. Now, this is an extremely distressing reality. And the sooner Rahul Gandhi addresses this issue, the better. I remember discussing this internal cancerous issue with Sonia Gandhi many years ago, about 20 years ago. At that time, she expressed her helplessness in doing anything about it. And I don't want to present or reveal the arguments she shared with me at that time. But I feel that Rahul Gandhi is in a far more advantageous position to handle this issue once and for all as compared to his mother, who, for all her good intentions, felt that the background of her overseas birth, etc., constituted a very ponderous political liability, which also reflects partly on the kind of jingoistic, self-enclosed, world-denying outlook or worldview that we have developed. So this is one issue that bothers most people, and especially those who feel uh, disappointed with the Haryana election results. Now, looking at Jammu and Kashmir, many observers, political analysts believe that if Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi had invested a little more of their time and effort into electioneering in the Jammu region, the outcome would have been much better. Of course, the NCP Congress alliance won the election. They are going to form the government. But even if they form the government, it may not be much of an achievement, because going by the experience of the government in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi, the government will be choked into complete inaction by the governor. And therefore, one has to wait and see how this plays out. But the question is not whether or not the NCP Congress alliance won. The question is, taking both Jammu and Kashmir and Haryana elections together, what is the message that this election sends out to the rest of the country as far as the citizens of this, the electorates are concerned, the voters are concerned? Because after all, we have two very important elections coming up, and that's one in Maharashtra and the other is in Chhattisgarh. And it seems likely, though there is no evidence to prove it, it seems likely that the Election Commission chose to have this kind of election schedule because of the likely impact, positive or negative, of these election results in these two states on particularly the election in Maharashtra and to a large extent also Chhattisgarh. Because after all, in politics, not less than in stock markets, sentiments matter a lot. If the Congress has suffered such a serious setback when everybody thought that it was poised for a landslide victory in Haryana, then it certainly will give a lot of boost, enthusiasm, hopes, excitement to the BJP workers in Maharashtra, where the situation is far more amorphous and complicated. So whether the election has been strategized, the conduct of the elections has been strategized keeping this in view or not, is for all of you to decide. I have no opinion on the matter. But one thing is very obvious, and that is the way this round of elections, that is elections to the Haryana Assembly, J&K Assembly, has been handled so far, has constituted a serious disruption to the idea of India alliance as a viable, cohesive political alternative to the BJP-led front or coalition. That is really where the problem lies. The problem is not so much that the Congress did not win in Haryana, or the Congress would have put up a much better show in the Jammu and Kashmir elections, particularly in the Jammu region. These are secondary issues. The primary issue, the issue of great national significance, is that the way this election has panned out so far has constituted a serious setback, psychological, electoral, perception-wise, to the idea of India as a cohesive, credible, committed alliance as an alternative to the BJP. And that was really what was gathering momentum. And Rahul Gandhi's own growing popularity and the single logic for people increasingly shifting their allegiance to Rahul Gandhi, looking up to him as a possible source of relief, of reassurance, was the showing in 2024 parliamentary elections, where it seemed for a fleeting moment that this would be a credible coalition and therefore a viable alternative. Now, that hope has been seriously dented if not altogether destroyed. I don't want to be alarmist. The fact of the matter is that serious harm has happened. And I have to say that I hold Rahul Gandhi singularly responsible for this, even if it is by default. This is not the situation where a person can excuse himself on the ground that he was not directly responsible. The question will always arise. The question must be raised. Why weren't you directly responsible? After all, you said in the parliament that as the leader of the opposition, you hold yourself responsible for the welfare, for protecting the interests not only of your own party, the Congress party, but also all others who constitute the opposition coalition. And people like me attached a lot of significance to those words. What are words if they are not redeemed through credible, effective action? The very words that you utter will become a means for discrediting yourself if you don't follow up what you say, particularly from the parliament, the full eyesight of the entire nation, that you will take care of the interest not only of your party but of every constituent in the India alliance, or if you like, India coalition. And I have to say, Rahul, you did not do it. You did not bother to do it. I can't believe that you could not have done it. You jolly well could have done it. You didn't bother to do it, and that's a serious flaw, a serious failure on your part. And this, in my opinion, at least in my estimation, has destroyed 50% of your rising popularity and credibility. In my own mind, I don't know about others. I have to say that I'm seriously disappointed. The last 2 months, you could not have afforded to be away from this country if you were serious about this. And the people who decoyed you into this stupid program of, creating some kind of wave from beyond the borders of India, either they are idiots, even if that includes Sam Pitroda, or they are not seriously committed to your political future, and even beyond that, what is good for India. And in this context, predictably, you have been decoyed into making a statement which has had a devastating impact, particularly on Haryana elections. And that is your remark about abolishing reservations. I have my own views about reservations. I'm against reservations of all kinds. But I'm also aware as to the rationale for continuing these elections, reservations. In a country where for centuries and centuries, crushing social, economic, religious disabilities have been piled on a large segment of India's population. Invoking the idea of merit, which presupposes level playing fields for all individuals concerned, is completely unrealistic. It is hypocritical. Therefore, there is a rationale to continuing the reservations. But from a purist point of view, I am committed to merit, and therefore I would look forward to the possibility of abolishing reservation, provided appropriate conditions are in the meanwhile created towards abolishing it without committing grave social injustice. But that's where I stand. This was not the opportunity for Rahul Gandhi to be waylaid into a controversy about reservations. And if you interact with the media, and I have ample experience of this, the media people are given a task. I was attempted to be trapped into all kinds of media, shall I say, improprieties during my tenure as the principal of St. Stephen's College. Leading questions will be asked, trap questions, trick questions will be asked. But fortunately, I had the wisdom to see 5 steps, if not 10 steps ahead of these very clever media people, and therefore I was able to handle all of them. But Unfortunately, in this case, because this question was raised in a particular context where Rahul Gandhi had to give the kind of answers he gave. And that is where the trick lies. It could be used to devastating effect back home in India. So, two huge problems happened because of his overseas visit. One is that he was away from the dynamics of electoral politics at a time when his presence was crucially needed, and his presence could have made so much difference for the better. Secondly, it also created a huge liability in the form of this reservation controversy, which has recoiled, which has boomeranged on the Congress party. And I wouldn't be surprised if this played a huge role in the debacle of the Congress party, particularly in the Haryana elections. Anyway, I say this again. The outcome of the just concluded Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir elections is a serious setback, not just for India Alliance, not just for the Congress, but for Rahul Gandhi in particular. I can only hope and pray that he learns his lesson from this experience and emerges from this a tad wiser. I hope it doesn't repeat this kind of completely avoidable mistakes. And I hope that he also sees through the intentions of those who pretend to be his well-wishers, his admirers. Very often the admirers do far greater harm, sometimes even unknowingly, than the enemies. Your enemies keep you on your toes, therefore you act wisely and you perform at your best. Your flatterers and your time servers drag you into situations where, without knowing it, you commit mistakes. And they will be out of it, and you are left holding the baby, which is crying all the time in your arms, and you wouldn't know what to do about it. So it's very unfortunate. It has happened, and I hope that the same pattern of mistake will not be repeated. Jai Hind, Namaskaram, Vande Mataram.